The president's expectation is that every Republican who goes up there, supports his agenda. Just to
But
this.
Scott, you recognize that Cornyn supported Trump's agenda 99% of the time.
I'm not arguing.
Like, I don't even remember what it is that Cornyn did that was so offensive to Trump that he would go against it.
The one unacknowledged
and endorse a guy who's been impeached for securities fraud, bribery, and all sorts of horrible things.
I will answer if you'd like.
Sure.
I think one of the unacknowledged points here is that.
Please like, subscribe, and share. In today's video, Navarro shuts down Scott Jennings on CNN Newsnight. She argues that Republicans are becoming so loyal to Donald Trump that they could lose elections they should easily win. While Ken Paxton energizes the MAGA base, his scandals and legal controversies may make Texas much more competitive than expected. Let's get into it.
The surprise endorsement that could have major implications in the battle for Senate majority. President Trump says he's backing Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton over incumbent Senator John Cornyn in the state's primary runoff, which is next week. In a post on social media, Trump boasted Paxton's loyalty and called out Cornyn for, quote, not being supportive of me when the times were tough. The decision is a searing blow to Cornyn, who spent over a year courting President Trump.
Trump derangement syndrome is real. Our president understands the art of the deal better than any modern head of state. Finally, we have a president who's been willing to stand up to the Iranian regime.
The most amazing thing about President Trump is the risks he's willing to take.
Our president demonstrated for all to see that the ultimate way to win over a bully is not to give in, but to stand up to him.
I'm proud of the fact that President Trump said this will not stand.
Cornyn responded by touting his voting record with Trump and noted that the president has consistently called him a friend. Paxton says it's just a facade.
This guy has been a friend of Donald Trump ever since I got into the race a year ago, but has not been a friend to him prior to that. And as soon as this race is over, he will not be a friend to Donald Trump. That is not his history. That is not his record. And he's been dishonest with the voters of Texas, trying to convince them that he's voted 99% with the president. What does that even mean? But we know it's not true.
Now, early voting is already underway in Texas. The nominee will face off in November against rising Democratic star State Representative James Tallarico. People were going after Tallarico about his taco order just a couple of days ago, but I want to start with you, former VA Congressman Denver. When you look at this, you know what it's like to be sort of targeted, right?
Oh, yeah.
By the president. What is it like, and what should Cornyn expect?
What, now?
Yes.
To lose.
Yeah,
I mean, and Anna's speaking.
I think that's where we're at. I think what can Cornyn expect? I mean, right now, when you're talking about Paxton winning, I think it's probably one of the worst endorsements Trump could do. And listen, I think Paxton is a repugnant character. Right, he's always been on the edge of sort of criminal activities. He had to do community service to get out of a felony. Right, it's everything wrong with what's happening. I think with MAGA right now is Ken Paxton. I think he actually is sort of the linchpin to what's wrong with this. But here's the issue, right? I think what this does. I think if Lindsey Graham is the voice of reason in this, and that targeting happens right to Cornyn, he's gone. Right, Paxton's going to be there. I think actually what you're looking at right now is I think Lindsey Graham is right. They're going to have to spend 3 times as much money to win this thing. I think Tallarico does have a chance to win, but I will say this because I know I'm not trying to just to be adversarial or to say something where everybody agrees. I still think Paxton wins the race. I don't really, I would hope that Tallarico can win and get over. I'm going to say that right here to the entire table. I still think Paxton wins the race because I still think MAGA really does run Texas in a way that we can't imagine. I just think that's the way it is.
Please like, subscribe, and share. He's right. Ken Paxton spent years under FBI investigation, faced impeachment from fellow Republicans in Texas, and has been tied to ethics scandals for years. In a normal political era, that would likely end a Senate campaign before it even began. But in modern MAGA politics, controversy can actually become an advantage, especially if Donald Trump supports you. That's the bigger point Denver is making. Republican primaries are becoming less about policy and more about loyalty to Trump. If you step out of line, even slightly, your conservative record may not matter anymore. John Cornyn voted with Trump most of the time and defended him publicly, yet many still viewed him as disloyal. Over time, that can weaken a party by pushing out experienced conservatives and replacing them with candidates whose biggest qualification is being loudly pro-Trump online. Politically, this could also backfire in Texas. Suburban areas around Dallas, Houston, and Austin have been shifting for years as many college-educated moderates grow tired of constant scandals and political chaos. That's why figures like James Tallarico are starting to gain more attention in a state Republicans once dominated comfortably. The irony is that MAGA supporters often see these endorsements as a sign of strength, but nationally, Trump-backed candidates have already cost Republicans key elections in places like Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Denver's frustration makes sense because he's describing a political environment where survival depends less on governing effectively and more on staying personally aligned with Trump.
Tara, do you think that Paxton, do you have the same thoughts, or do you think there is really a path?
Well, I think Texas has been the big white whale for Democrats for a couple of election cycles. But Tallarico, honestly, is probably their best hope in a very long time, especially now with Paxton officially being endorsed by Trump. I mean, you know, birds of a feather. The guy was impeached by the Texas legislature. He was acquitted by the Senate, just like Trump was impeached and acquitted. I mean, I don't know why, if people are proud of this guy. I just think that, you know, elected representatives need to really think about who are they putting in office? Are they proud of these people? I mean, Ken Paxton is a despicable human being. He's dishonest. He has criminal behavior. He's an adulterer. His own wife came out against him. And yet this is the person that they've spent tens of millions of dollars to boost over Senator John Cornyn, who, although he debased himself trying to kiss up to Donald Trump, has by all measures been a good senator for the state of Texas for many, many years. And that's what he had to turn to do to prove loyalty. What about what you're doing for the people of Texas? It's all about Donald Trump. So, I mean, I think that it's, once again, it's a character issue. And I think the people of Texas deserve better, but they're going to get the person that they choose. But it's going to be a hell of a race there in Texas, and a lot of money is going to be spent for the Republicans now in Texas that should be spent in other places because the Senate is in play. And you can see the senior Republicans that know better, that understand that this is not good for the Republican Party. It's MAGA brand, and the MAGA brand is terrible when it comes now to national races and statewide races. So good luck with that in Texas.
Anna, do you think this could backfire? That if Paxton runs away with this and he's the nominee against Tallarico, that there is a possibility, a higher possibility that perhaps Democrats get a chance?
I do think Democrats have a chance. But listen, I'm old enough where there were Democrats elected statewide in Texas, right? People like Ann Richards, who was the governor. And people often ask me, why don't Republicans stand up to Trump? This is the reason Republicans don't stand up to Trump. Because Trump has power and he exerts that power in the primaries. He is incredibly influential in Republican primaries. John Cornyn is conservative. John Cornyn has voted with Donald Trump 99% of the time. John Cornyn was part of Republican leadership. He has incredible power in the Senate, seniority, and I think he just lost tonight, right? He just lost tonight with this Trump endorsement. And I think Trump is empowered by the fact that he's got the Cassidy scalp to show. He knew he was going to have the Massey scalp to show, and he thought, you know what, I'm gonna show you all. I'm gonna have the Cornyn scalp to show. So all of a sudden, Texas, which shouldn't be competitive for Republicans, is going to be competitive, and there's going to be all sorts of money spent there, which is the reason why John Thune, the majority leader of the Senate, is still supporting John Cornyn, and so are most of the senators that are in power today. Let it be what it is.
Now,
what's it going to look like in Congress, you think, if all of the people that Donald Trump has put up against incumbents end up in place in Congress?
Well, look, I mean,
will they ever sort of look at Donald Trump and go, hey, you know what, we'd like to have some of our power back? Because Congress has pretty much seceded a lot of their power.
I mean, well, yeah, that didn't just start in the last 10 minutes.
No,
it's been going on for a long time. I mean, my expectation is that these Republicans, if they win their races, and most of them I think will win, including Paxton, I agree with you, Denver, are going to end up voting the Republican agenda, which is set by the White House. Now, who will have the majorities when we come back. You know, it's going to be a real race for the House and a real race for the Senate in the fall. I think the Democrats probably have a small advantage in the House. Republicans have a little advantage in the Senate, but it's going to be a real race. And every vote matters, and the president's expectation is that every Republican who goes up there, you know, supports his agenda. Just to
But
this.
Scott, you recognize that Cornyn supported Trump's agenda 99% of the time.
I'm not arguing.
Like, I don't even remember what it is that Cornyn did that was so offensive to Trump that he would go against it.
The one unacknowledged
and endorse a guy who's been impeached for securities fraud, bribery, and all sorts of horrible things.
I will answer if you'd like.
Sure.
I think one of the unacknowledged points here is that Paxton was a little bit ahead in this race, okay? Cornyn won in the primary by a little bit, but there was a third guy in the race, Wesley Hunt. He didn't make it. A lot of those voters were going to Paxton. Paxton was a little bit ahead in this. He might have won anyway, even without this endorsement. And so I'm not so sure Cornyn was running a very competitive race. I'm not so sure he would have been able to pull it out. I don't disagree with the point that Texas will become a little bit more expensive in the fall here. But your question is, what's the expectation of Republicans? The voters, it's not Trump, it's Trump's voters. The reason he has power and the reason he has influence is because they like him and they like his agenda. And if their perception is that you're off that track or that you're not doing all that you can for it, they're going to go find somebody who will. Now, Trump, you know, sort of enforces their will. It's not him singular. There's a legion, millions of people out there who are looking for Republicans who will do everything within their power to make this president successful. Kentucky 4, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, you name it, they are everywhere.
Please like, subscribe, and share. Now think about it. John Cornyn was already a very conservative senator who supported Donald Trump and his policies repeatedly. But the fact that even someone like Cornyn can suddenly become politically expendable shows this is no longer just about ideology. It's about personal loyalty. And that changes how Congress works. The founders created Congress to act as an independent branch that checks presidential power, not as a group whose main job is protecting one political figure. What Navarro is pointing out is that many Republicans now seem more afraid of being challenged by Trump-backed candidates than questioning anything. Coming from the White House, that creates a dangerous political incentive. Instead of asking, "Is this good for my state?" lawmakers start asking, "Will Trump attack me if I disagree?" We already saw this after the 2020 election, when many Republicans privately admitted Trump lost but stayed silent publicly because they feared backlash from the MAGA base. That fear reshaped the party. Scott Jennings is correct that Trump's influence comes from his voters. But Anna's argument is that elected officials still have a responsibility to lead, not simply follow political pressure. Otherwise, Congress stops functioning as an independent institution. There's also a real political risk Republicans may be underestimating. Candidates who dominate MAGA election cycle due to suburban shifts, younger voters, and changing demographics.